Welcome into League Night, everybody. Tonight, we're a couple grams lighter than we usually are, but don't worry, I got some heavyweights in contention with us tonight. I'm Jamie Thomas, and I'm joined by Ian Anderson.
What is up, everybody? Thanks for having me on.
And Evan Kearns from Statmando, making some regular appearances.
Yeah, how's it going?
All right, guys, we got a great show tonight. We have to talk Idlewild. It's always wild when you're up in the Natty for a Disc Golf Pro Tour event. So let's get started right there. Seems like a good spot. The Idlewild course, legendary, of course, on the Disc Golf Pro Tour scene. But Ian, we had a different layout this year. Tell us about it.
Yeah, that's right. So hole 3 went from like a pretty easy downhill shot. You saw a lot of star frames on it last year. There's a little bit of water involved, but it also had a little bit of a luck involved late. There were some late tree kicks. I remember last year, people going on B. So the new hole replaced was a par 4 dogleg right. It brought more rollers to the game, which I always like. So I was a big fan of that one. The other one they did was a new hole 4, which is kind of that water carry to a gap hit, second water carry. And that was yeah, I really like that one. Replacing hole 6, which was like this really weird blind shot over a mound into a weird green. So I like that change again as well. And then the last one we saw was hole 13, where they moved the pin about 100 feet, maybe more down the fairway. I like that one. That gave us the Dickerson Thumber Roller park job. So
epic.
You gotta love that one. That's my takes on it. I'm honestly a fan of all 3 changes. How about you guys?
Well, I think it was supposed to make it a good bit harder. Evan, not putting you on the spot here, but I don't know if it bears out considering we had a course record which looked pretty similar to the old layout course record. How would you look at it from a number standpoint?
Yeah, well, I believe the par went up by 2 strokes. So that's 6 strokes for a 3-round tournament. So it's kind of hard to beat a tournament record. But you saw Isaac Robinson, 2 par, kind of blow away last year's field. And he would have easily have won last year as he did this week.
Wow, there's a stat for you right there. And of course, a little bit of a spoiler, but McBeth being that guy who's setting the record, it just seems like, oh, well, McBeth's in the field. Let's change the course par here and make it harder on the guy.
And then
anyway,
course record.
Course. Idlewild's always fun, always produces some interesting competition. Let's check it out in FPO. Evan, take it away.
Yeah, the women were the first to hit the wild weather at Idlewild. They battled heavy rains in the first round, but that did not stop the highlights. Ella Hansen notably had an 80-foot throw-in to get a birdie on a hole that not a lot of women were able to get, and she goes on to have the hot round in round 1, taking off an early lead. On moving day, though, we saw Katrina Allen battle back. She had a quadruple bogey in round 1, but still was hanging in there, brings it back to get a share of the lead into the final round. And in the final round, we saw Katrina Allen start to pull ahead and kind of coast to that victory. It was a little bit close to the end, but I don't think people were doubting her skills towards the finish line. We saw Missy Gannon, though, shoot the hot round in round 3, a 3 down, moving up a bunch of spots to claim second alongside Owen Scoggins, who we know her for her putting, but she was second in C1 in regulation this weekend at 30%. She's always known for her putting, and it's her driving that she lags behind the field generally, but not this weekend. We saw excellence, and it showed. And it's 7.76 strokes gained as well. I don't want to leave that out in strokes gained putting. 30% in C1 regulation, 7.6 in strokes gained putting. That's going to get you a podium pretty dang often, I would say. But let's listen in to Katrina Allen's interview.
So many times this year, you've battled back. You've struggled out of the gate, but then you battle back, and you always finish strong. You started out with a 4-stroke deficit at this tournament. Yesterday, you were the co-leader. Today, you take it down. How does that feel?
Really good. And yeah, there was actually, after the rain delay, I came back and had probably my worst hole of the season. I took an 8 on our first hole, had like a 150-foot rollaway that went in that creek. And yeah, Austin texted me to get over it, be fearless, stop playing scared, and I think he even said, like, be a lioness. Like, stop being afraid and just, play your game and be fearless. And I didn't want to hear it at the moment. I wanted someone to feel sorry for me, but he got me in a good mindset, so, yeah. I didn't know
Well, and the big point there is Katrina Allen picking up her second win on the Elite Series this year. And when she plays fearless, it's really hard to stop her. Her game's as good as anybody's. And yeah, Katrina Allen, congratulations. Moving over into MPO, really impressive stuff from Isaac Robinson all weekend. The guy goes wire to wire. I mean, I feel like it was just a month ago on this very show we're debating, is he a dark horse for the podium? Is he a favorite for the podium? Maybe to take a win. He comes out and lets us know right in the middle of his first summer on tour. Big headline stat for me, guys, 100% C1X putting on the weekend. That's just incredible.
He backed it up with great C2 putting as well.
Oh, I mean, just checking the highlights. Like, even if you're not watching, which you should be, by the way, like, just go to Instagram and just look at an Isaac Robinson post from this past weekend. I guarantee you're going to see some bangers from way downtown. This guy right here you see on screen, Matty O, having a great weekend as well. Shout out to the Oram family for his dad, Jim, posthumously inducted into the Disc Golf Hall of Fame. Very well deserved. Congratulations. But the big story on the final day was Chris Dickerson. To me, and Ian, I want to hear you on this because you were in the booth, but it started to look a little bit like Champions Cup to me, where, okay, maybe in the middle of the round, Isaac Robinson not finding the fairway a couple holes. Gannon Burr, he's struggling. Chris Clemens trying to match the pace. It just seemed like something that Dickerson could come through and take it, just like he did from Heimberg and Wysocki back in Georgia.
Yeah, I'm so with you. The Dickerson type of course, you know, it's a big event. A guy who hasn't won an Elite Series, you think he's going to chase him down, but gosh, that putt on 17. Could you guys believe that one?
It just settled all the doubt. And I heard you guys in the booth talking about lay it up, lay it up. He said, no, I'm taking this one.
We heard Katrina Allen just earlier talk about fearless, and I think Isaac Robinson had a little bit of that going into hole 17. A true champion bangs that putt as he did.
One note from that Katrina Allen interview. Sorry, Jamie. When I tell my wife to get over it, it does not go that well. That's bold, Austin. That was bold.
And just before that on 16, I mean, Chris Dickerson hits that massive eagle putt to put the pressure on the young guy. But he still comes through with flying colors. You saw him embracing his brother at the end there. Let's hear what he had to say after his first Elite Series win.
It means the world. This is incredible. I haven't felt anything like this. Yeah, I'm shaking. I was shaking the whole last hole.
Well, a few weeks ago, you took home your largest paycheck ever. You performed very well. We saw you finish third on the Pro Tour. Today, you're almost doubling that paycheck. What does that mean for you and your career?
It's crazy. Yeah, I tried not to look at the payout before the round started, but it was laying at the table on hole one, and I took a peek, and I was like, holy cow. So, yeah, pretty excited.
What do you want to say to everybody out there? We've got thousands of people from around the world. What do you want to say to everybody out there?
I mean, I want to give all the glory to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Wouldn't be out here without him. I want to thank my family, all of the people back home. I've been getting texts, calls, people in Georgia. Thank you guys for the encouragement. Thank you, Prodigy Discs. Yeah, just thank you for the tournament staff, too. You guys did an amazing job.
Was it
It means
that was awesome.
Look, Isaac, you can just tell he's right there. He doesn't know what to say in the moment. He's like, it reminds me of Ellen Widboom a couple years ago, 2020 winner, and she just cannot believe it. And I think that, is it just because this course is such an absolute grinder that it's like you kind of come out of the woods there and you're in a daze? I'm trying to figure this out.
That is kind of like that analogy, you know, you're out into the bright, finally like, oh wow, it's over, I won, you know, you're out of the woods. Like
certainly tough to do in today's stacked fields. And that's going to do it for Idlewild, but there's plenty more great disc golf on the Pro Tour, of course, coming up. And on the show, we're going to do the fan favorite. Let's get into 2 minutes. All right. Sitting in Matt Graham's seat right now. I like this view. I don't have to debate the topics. I'm going to let Ian and Evan go at it. We've got 4 great topics. If you're just joining us, the guys are going to have 2 minutes to debate each of the topics in order. First up, we've got Katrina Allen and we've got Valerie Mandujano, each with 2 Elite Series wins under their belt so far this year and a Silver Series to top it off. Who do you take in terms of having the better season so far? Ian, we're starting with you.
All right. Looking at their UDisc, it is so close. Like you said, they both have the 2 Elite Series. They've got the Silver Series. They've got a ton of top 10s. I'm gonna give a slight edge to Val, just because I feel like she got that second place in the major, charging back. I was super impressed with that performance. You know, almost caught Haley King down there at the end. Was crazy. Was a 9 down that last round. I feel like she's really stepping up this year, holding to a total gamer, honestly. And then when she has not played well, she's actually like earned herself on a league card in those tournaments and then fallen off. So she's always been relevant in every tournament. I'll say that, even if she hasn't had the top 10s like Katrina. That's my argument for Val. I'll give you. Also, that putting is insane, man. It's incredible.
Short and sweet. Val plays under control a lot. Katrina Allen likes to go for it and be fearless. Evan, are you taking her? Or are you agreeing with Ian?
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say Katrina Allen, and that's no disrespect to Valerie. She's had an incredible year. I mean, just to be in the conversation with the greatness of Katrina Allen, I think says something about what her year has been. If you look at wins, it's kind of hard to find a difference because, like you said, 2 wins each. A Silver Series is a tiebreaker for each of them. Not a lot of wiggle room to get that debate going, but I will get into top 5 finishes. I think Katrina Allen has been much more consistent at the top of the leaderboard. Yep. She has 10 on the season. That is the most out of any other lady in the field. Second is Paige Pierce with 7. So that's a giant margin. 3 top 5s clear of the field. Valerie Mandujano's at 4 from similar amount of starts. Their average place as well. Katrina Allen is at a 3.5. Meanwhile, Valerie Mandujano's at a 7.0. Both incredible, but I do give the edge to Katrina Allen there. And I'll throw one more out. Average round rating. Katrina Allen sitting about 7 points higher, which isn't a lot. It's about less than a stroke per round, but I still think it's something.
Wow, just edging out by that round rating right there. Agree or disagree in the comments. If you're watching, let us know. Mandujano, Allen, who's having the better year? Let's switch gears, though. We're going to move over to MPO. For years, we've been talking about FPO parity and how the peloton, as Ian likes to say, is getting more clustered with talent. But so many first-time winners coming out on tour over this season and last. Do we expect to see more first-time winners or fewer first-time winners as we get past the halfway point of the season? Evan, to you.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen a lot of dominance from our usual at the top of the leaderboard being Paul McBeth, Ricky Wysocki. Even McMahon has been injured, and Calvin Hybrid with the 1 solo win at Jonesboro. But we've seen a lot of the rest of the field come out and show strong. But a lot of the winners we have seen have won before. I mean, Bradley Williams just won at Preserve. We have to go back to 2016 to see his last win, but he still has a win before then. Simon Lizotte, Drew Gibson back at LVC has won before. It wasn't until we saw Isaac Robinson win this past weekend that we saw a brand new first-time winner. So the parity is definitely there, but we're still kind of seeing the same faces week in and week out, with some new faces sprinkled in here and there. I mean, Gannon Burr has been in the conversation, I believe, every single week this season. We're still waiting on him to get the win, but we did see a new winner here at Isaac Robinson. I do think the parity is there.
All right, Ian, more first-time winners, or are the Sleeping Giants going to wake up at some point this season?
I kind of feel like our parity has already happened in the year, and we've kind of found the people that have figured the game out this year, and those people that have been winning have been in the top 10 at most of the tournaments. So I kind of think we're going to see the people that have won early will keep winning late is my guess. But you never know. Like you guys said, the field is so deep. You think about back in the day, like not everybody had the tools to win in the field, you know? Like there was maybe like 10 guys that you could say could take this down. They could throw 500 feet. They could go 90% C1X. They had all those tools, but now that's like 50 people every tournament. So I think overall parity is up, but it feels like this year might be maybe settling down. We'll see. We'll see how it shakes out.
Well, and to that point, I mean, I think about this time last year, we're talking about guys like Kyle Klein. We're talking about Adam Hammes. Mm-hmm. 2 names just right there we haven't mentioned quite as much in their stead. Gannon Burr and Isaac Robinson. Right. So more and more people can certainly win tournaments. Point is well made. Speaking of Isaac Robinson, right there on time with the bell. Isaac Robinson has been on fire lately. We teed this up earlier, but a 5th at Waco, then a 3rd in Portland, and then top 20 at the Preserve before taking down his first win at Idlewild this past weekend. Here's the big question. is this pace sustainable? Can we expect to continue to see this excellence out of Isaac Robinson? Ian, he didn't miss a putt all weekend in the circle.
Yeah, it was absolutely incredible. And honestly, it felt like that way in Circle 2 at times. He was making 60 and 70 footers on the regular. That doesn't feel sustainable, and that was kind of backed up of what we saw the last day. He didn't make any of those. You can't do that every time. And when you're doing that consistently, it means you're going to deviate back to the mean a little bit. But I will say he also has the tools to hang on tour. His C1X putting, I feel like that's repeatable for him with his skill set. I like to think that will continue. And kind of like Gannon Burr, where their putting has been fantastic, and they're showing up every single tournament. And I think that's going to be the case for Isaac as well. As long as that putting stays hot, he can throw. Maybe the only hole in his game was a forehand. Did you guys see him throw any forehands this week? I can't even remember one.
Nothing comes to mind.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and also maybe shied away from the roller like a little bit, but he's still like young on tour. He's gonna pick these things up naturally as he goes on, and maybe he should only get better, honestly.
Well, Evan, maybe regression to the mean, but on that final day, like Ian's saying, but still wire to wire. Do you buy that his pace can be sustainable?
I absolutely buy his pace to be top 20 is sustainable, and even top 10. I think we'll see plenty more of those throughout the season. I do question if he'll get another win. It is hard to win, and as we've talked about, Idlewild has had a unique winner every single year, so maybe this was his one win for the year, but I definitely think he'll be consistently in the picture, and we'll be talking about him plenty for the rest of the season. I want to throw out something that the last 5 Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite events, if we take the average round rating from all the competitors, Isaac Robinson is on top of everyone at a 1046.1, barely nudging out Simon Lizotte, who we were just talking about, is he the hottest player in disc golf, and now Isaac Robinson has a better average round rating than him. So by that logic, one could argue maybe Isaac Robinson is the hottest player in disc golf. I might not go all the way there, but he is definitely playing incredible, and I see it continuing.
Wow, I like how you dodged the question too. You said top 20 pace is sustainable, which would be his worst finish. So that was clever, though. I like it.
Fair enough.
Last but not least, for 2 minutes, Europe. We're going back. We're coming to see you across the pond. It's so exciting. We got Sula, we got the European Open, and the big question here, similarly phrased, is are we going to see some of these more traditional winners? Are we going to see the people that know the courses, that know how to deal with the time changes, all of the things that go into competing halfway around the world from most of these players' home bases? Or are we going to see some first-time winners over the pond? Evan, what do you think?
Yeah, well, we're just coming from Idlewild, and like I said, there's been a unique winner every single year. European Open hasn't been quite that. The last 5 events that time this has happened, Paul McBeth has come away with the victory. It doesn't happen every year that the European Open happens, but we have to go back to 2011 that the last time a non-McBeth player in MPO won. That's Dave Feldberg. So if you're telling me Dave Feldberg's a great player, but if you're telling me he was the most recent non-McBeth winner, I'm going to guess it's been a while since someone else has won. So I expect McBeth to repeat, or someone who's going to be able to top him, like a Ricky Wysocki, Eagle McMahon if he's healthy, or Calvin Heimberg. I might limit it to just those 4 at the European Open. On the women, it'll also be exciting, but I think it might be the Katrina Allen and Paige Pierce show. The last 4 events, they've won all 4, 2 each. So I think we'll see great battles, but I do think it might be a little bit top heavy.
All right, Ian, a little bit of a chalk pick from Evan there. So does that mean you're buying or selling Evelina's putt? Is she going to be in your mix for FPO?
It's looked good at a whole tournament. I think she must have figured something out, right? Like, I don't think you fix it and then it comes back. God, I really hope not. I really, really hope not. Because it looks so great, the last time she was out there putting. So I'm hoping that she continues. As far as Europe coming here, Europe is here. Who wins the European Open? It's got to be another American again, right? Like, I don't know.
All of Europe hates this answer right now.
I know, right?
Make your European fans happy.
I wish, man. They're coming up. I will say they're coming up on tour, and they're coming out on tour, and they're hanging this year. They're finishing top 10. We see them league cards a lot more, so I'm sure they'll have some of that experience as they head into the European Open. Maybe that'll help. They're playing with familiar players. It's not, oh my gosh, Paul McBeth. It's like, oh, I played with him a month ago. Maybe they'll have a different feeling going in. So we'll see.
Valuable experience. We'll see if any of the new superstars on tour can top some of the veteran touring pros. that coverage coming up very soon. We'll tell you how to watch it at the end of the show, but we've got one more discussion segment, so let's get into it. We're going to talk about mid-season breaks. All right, mid-season breaks. Now, we've seen this also kind of bubble up in the discussion circles in disc golf the last few years. I think Eagle McMahon most famously really started taking time off back in like the 2017, 2018 seasons.
Yeah.
And we've got a very interesting schedule going on this year too. We've talked about it a little bit on the show in past weeks, where you are really out there each and every week. And whether it's your body that needs a break, your mind needs a break, or just life gets in the way and you can't be out there every single weekend, some players choosing to take the breaks. Evan, we tried to dig up some numbers on whether this is an advantage or not. What do the numbers tell us about this?
Yeah, it is a little bit tough to quantify this. I mean, players take breaks for all different reasons. I mean, one of the ones that came to mind was Ricky Wysocki battling Lyme disease in 2019. We saw him when he come back. It took him a long time to kind of get his full form, and it wasn't until about the beginning of the second half of the season at 2020 Ledgestone that he picked up his first elite win after battling Lyme. But on the other hand, we see guys like Chris Dickerson, who just took the West Coast swing off, and he gets a second place finish and looked like he could have taken the win if Isaac Robinson wasn't so hot. But I think one player to look at is Kristen Tatar. She's focusing on U.S. events, but she is returning to Europe every so often. And when we see her come to the United States, of course, she's dealing with jet lag and the travel and all of that, but she hasn't really picked up wins early on in her returning. It's not until that she kind of gets settled, and right before she leaves, she just dominates the field, it seems, and makes a statement before returning home. That is really interesting, and that kind of tells me that momentum is really big for her game. But I think it's very important to stay healthy as well. And so if you're dealing with injuries, I think taking that time off is going to be well worth it. It might hurt your momentum, but in the long run, I think being healthy is better than not being healthy.
Well, what's bad for momentum might be good for rehabbing those injuries. I mean, Ian, we just saw, like, this is pretty breaking news. Kristen just posting very recently that she's dealing with some nagging injuries while we're talking about Tatar.
Yeah, I think she's possibly going to miss the European Open, it sounds like, right?
Wow. And she's a heavy favorite there, obviously. So, you know, she's already missed a couple of events with her partner Silver having COVID. So, you know, do you like, let's take Kristen Tatar as a case in point example here. Whenever we see her back on tour, do you like her chances if she can get rested, or are you with Evan in this camp where she's got to get a little more momentum underneath her first?
I mean, especially coming back from an injury, I think it's going to take even longer, right? I mean, that's just kind of how it shakes out when you come back from injury. Like mid-season breaks, I think they probably always good, but they might not always be good for your game. You know, if you're hurt and you're taking a break, you got to take a break, right? Like there's nothing you can do about it. But the Chris Dickerson break, I find interesting from like a longevity perspective. You know, to push his career out. He's like, is he close to 30 at this point? I think he's right around there.
Yeah, right around.
And so taking a mid-season break can really help, you know, extend his career into his 40s, honestly. And it didn't seem to hurt his momentum at all because he was healthy, right? So he's probably playing during his break a little bit. Unlike Tatar, who's going to be cold, you know, she's probably not going to be throwing for a couple months. So momentum killer or well-rested, I think depends on the reason for your break. If that's a cop-out answer.
Well, it was a well-articulated one, at least. So the important thing for Dickerson while we're talking about him is, you know, as he's leading into that break, first at the Silver Series, Music City, first at the Major Champions Cup, top 10 finishes back-to-back there. And then he's coming out and finding his rhythm very, very quickly. I think another player to put in this category is somebody like Haley King. We didn't see her...
Yeah.
It seemed like for a multitude of reasons, we didn't see Haley King in the early season as much as we expected, especially as big of a profile as she's garnered over the last couple seasons. And then she comes out and wins the major. So, you know, I think there's a lot of different paths to success here. But I think the one thing that anecdotally we can take away, or at least I can take away from this, is that if you're prepared for that break, it's a whole lot different than if you're, you know, forced to take that break due to injury or some other reason like that. One other big thing, and I'll throw it to you guys for your opinion here, is the way the Pro Tour points are structured. Now, if you look at, we have 12 regular season Pro Tour Elite Series events.
Mm-hmm.
We're only taking the top 8 finishes.
Right.
So let's look at a guy like Ricky Wysocki. He had the Lyme disease flare-up. He missed the Portland Open, and he just played his 8th Elite Series event at Idlewild. So right now, the next 3 events, as long as he beats the 16th place finish that he just had, he's going to score even more points. And guess what, Evan? He's already leading in the Pro Tour standings.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting. And it really benefits the players who have gotten those good finishes. The best players that we see have the ability to take time off, not just Disc Golf Pro Tour points, but probably contract wise. I mean, they don't have to grind as much from tournament to tournament. They have a little bit more flexibility to take that time off. But then you look at players who are really grinding for that kind of 30 to 40 a spot, where it's like, do I get an invite to the Pro Tour Championship, which is, kind of the most coveted registration, I guess, of the season. People want to get there to that payout to play in that event. And for a lot of the guys on that cusp and girls on the cusp, you have to play every event to get the opportunity to drop maybe your lower events where you didn't place as well as you want. Of course, the question comes up where if you take 2 events off, can you have that pressure on you to pay off the missed events you had, or do you want to have the extra chances where you get a few dropped and hopefully you have enough good ones to offset it?
That's a really good point you bring up, and Ian, I'll throw it to you here, because if you're, let's say you're not in the middle of the pack and you have that consistency where you're gonna get a Tour Champions invite. Katrina Allen in that mix, she's at the top of the standings leaderboard in FPO, and she plays every single weekend, including Silver Series. So there's a whole lot of ways to skin this cat here.
Yeah, there really is. It's kind of interesting. I want to give a quick shout to the Pro Tour for the format. Honestly, like making the players not break down their bodies, having to play every weekend is, I think, pretty good for our player longevity and the tour longevity. So I like that. But I guess there's somebody who said with the Katrina method is just playing every single weekend.
Keeping that momentum
Just
going
keep
week
the
to
momentum
week.
going. Yeah.
Well, there's a whole lot more excitement to come the rest of the season. As we said, we're only 9 of the 12 regular season events through the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We've got the big grand finale at the end of the year starting in September. So it'll be interesting to see which method plays out best for each player. And let us know what you think in the comments below. Should your favorite player take more of a break, less of a break? Tell us who you're a fan of and what you think they should be doing, because that's what we all need to do. Tell the pros how to do their job, right?
Absolutely.
That's what we're here for.
We do it all the time.
All right. Coming up this week, we've got really exciting, as we mentioned, we're over in Europe. Some of our crew is already over there getting ready for the PCS Sula Open. This is like a Silver Series XL, everybody. If you are not subscribed to the Disc Golf Network, you're getting all of the rounds live streamed. Unlike normal Silver Series, we just do the final. We're doing all of them. What a beautiful course over in Norway. Have you guys seen coverage of this event in years past?
It's like right on the water, man. It looks beautiful.
I have not. I'm gonna have to check that out then. Ian, you're selling it on me already.
It's crazy, man. Yeah.
It's gorgeous. I seem to remember in my head Barsby throwing some pretty epic shots. I know he's been a proponent of this tournament for a long time. And now, not only is it on the Euro Tour, it's on the Disc Golf Pro Tour Silver Series. So make sure you're subscribed. Coverage starts in the morning. So if you want to wake up early, or if you're in prime time for our friends across the pond, congratulations. And then, of course, the European Open to follow. Well, that's a whirlwind of topics. We got through a lot
President's
this
Cup,
week.
Jamie. Don't forget about President's Cup, man.
Oh, where's my head? President's Cup, one of my personal favorite things in disc golf. I cannot wait. That one, you're definitely going to want to be a subscriber so you can see that live streamed. I'm going to be sitting. Ian, we'll take some bets. We'll get a pool going.
Nice.
It'll be the
I'm
whole
super
9
down for that,
yards.
man. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, Ian Anderson, Evan Kearns, thank you guys so much for joining us on League Night tonight.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week right here, same time, same place.